on the shelf, and guess what's gonna go bad? You know, but you know, I read some statistics on actually what they do with that oil when they mill it out. When they actually take that oil out, they feed that oil to racehorses because it increases their performance. But they take it out of our diet. So society is built for profits and not people. We have to be aware of that when we're buying our food. That's why we need to know how to read labels, what they're saying, put the best in our body. Nearly 95% of people who are diagnosed with diabetes have type 2. 95%. So what is that saying? A lot of people are not aware of what they're putting in their body because it's causing the body, causing them to actually become a diabetic. A lot of people are diagnosed as diabetic, but they're actually not a diabetic. Like Dr. Brown was saying, pre-diabetic. You have everything leading up to you being a diabetic, but you're not. And because we're not, as a whole discipline, we decide to go ahead, okay, I'll go ahead and eat the way I want without taking the pill. We have to change that mindset. We need to change our diet. Next slide. Type 2 may or may not be on insulin. You may be on a pill. You may be type 2, but you're controlling it with your diet. The body makes insulin, but it doesn't respond well to it. Adults and children often results from excess weight. And we're going to be talking a little bit later about how, you know, fat affects your diabetes and body weight as well. Next slide. This is a graph here, and it shows your blood sugar level. Your blood sugar level should be in between 70 and 150 deciliters per milligrams per deciliter. This graph here shows exactly what's happening when you eat. Everybody's blood sugar level fluctuates. I don't care whether you're diabetic or not. Once you eat your carbohydrates, the body basically turns it into glucose. That glucose, remember, has to go inside the cell. What does it need to get in there? It needs insulin. So it's going to fluctuate. But the mechanism that God put in the body is like a brake and a clutch. And God keeps it right where it's supposed to be. If you look here, 6 a.m., it's no more fluctuations here. This is 71. You eat your breakfast, it's definitely going to go up because your body's trying to process it depending on what you ate. Your blood sugar level is definitely going to fluctuate. Go back down a little bit. Here's noontime, you eat lunch, it goes up again. It goes down again. 6 p.m. you get ready to eat dinner. You eat dinner, boom, it's back up again. This is basically what happens in everybody's body. You're going to have a fluctuation there. The problem comes in is when you begin to have an abnormal diet and you begin to eat a lot of things with sugar in it. You know, and nowadays, a lot of us are eating a lot with sugar in it, but really don't know it because it's not, you can't taste it. So that's why it's good to read labels to see what's actually in your diet. Next slide, go. Unstable blood sugar fluctuations. This is whacked out. Here's a person here, they're eating at 6 o'clock a.m. It's 107. Remember, it's supposed to be between 70 and 150. They eat breakfast. God knows what they ate, but it's up to 160. Now you got to realize, all the way here, it's out of that range. It's supposed to be within this range. So what's happening to all this excess glucose here? It's running around in your blood system, putting stress on every other organ. It's too much. It's high blood sugar. It never goes back within range, and then you're eating lunch again. You eat lunch, it goes up to 152. Here we drop down to 93. 12 noon, 6 p.m. you eat dinner or supper, it's back up to 165. All that's excess blood. So when you're talking about high blood sugar, that's what it means in its simplicity. It's too much sugar in the blood. Next, we're going to have Sister Denise Jones. She's the LPN. She's going to talk to you a little bit about normal blood sugar levels. Let's get ready.
My part is just breakfast. That's all I'm going to talk to you about is breakfast. The things that we had out front before you all came in is what we don't see as our race of people for breakfast. We get grits, eggs, ham, bacon, biscuits, sausage. That's breakfast on a normal day. And our younger generation, what's breakfast for them is sugar pops, Pop-Tarts, honey bunches of oats, if they have a parent that is a little bit conscious of what they should have for breakfast, or they're having nothing. If you go to the next slide, The next slide is just a few points on breakfast, because a lot of times we meet people and they say, oh, I don't eat breakfast. I don't tolerate breakfast well. I'm not a morning person. I don't eat till the afternoon. All of that is damaging your body. Because if you don't eat breakfast, you can try some simple things that could be a substitute for breakfast for you. All those things that we had out front would be a good substitute for breakfast if you're not a person that eats breakfast. Nuts and cheese. I can attest to the first one simply because not only did I not eat breakfast, I don't eat lunch, and I don't eat dinner. I'm one of those people that just go all day without eating and it doesn't bother me. And because I've started eating, I started losing weight, as y'all can see my big clothes. But it's because I wasn't eating. My blood sugar level remained high all the time because my body says, okay, I don't know when you're going to feed me again. So I'm holding on to all of the fat, I'm holding on to all of the sugar, I'm holding on to all of the carbohydrates. The only thing that you'll lose is water, and that's only if you pee, and I'm a nurse, so we don't pee. Hours. It's because you're running. You're running. But if you're a person that doesn't eat breakfast, then we have to learn to make substitutes. Some people get up late, and I was hoping that my sister could hang around. She's an RN at St. Joe's, and she's a nighttime person. She does not start her workday until 6 p.m. So when her workday is over, it's 8:30 a.m. At 9 a.m., she's just getting home. So what would be breakfast for her wouldn't be breakfast for us. But we have to learn that even if we are people that have those alternating schedules, that we don't get up until 12 noon, we don't get up until 9. We have to make other arrangements. We have to adjust our bodies accordingly, because we do have to remember that whether you put anything good in or out, you're still going to get the same results if you're not doing it appropriately. We have to make sure that we make these adjustments, that if we wake up late, that we eat snacks like grapes and bananas and crackers. We have whole wheat crackers out there. If any of y'all have tried the whole wheat crackers, they are so crispy. They taste so much better than regular crackers. And until I started eating breakfast, and my breakfast are these things, actually. And this is from the National Diabetes Association that gave these things. That's not why I started eating them. I started eating them because my boss says, okay, you're saying that you want to do the right thing, and then my mentors are telling me, you're a part of temple maintenance, but, do you look the part? I have to remember that anything we do is going to affect how we look, not just our personality-wise, but your outer appearance, because your skin changes. If you ever notice a person that's diabetic, they have very shiny skin. If you pay attention to it. Different disease processes affects your body on the outside. Things that you don't take thought of, like your hair not growing, because your sugar is so high all the time. Or because your nails don't grow, because your sugar is high all the time. Or because you have low energy during the evening, because you don't eat breakfast, and you don't get a good lunch. But people that say, well, I just don't like breakfast. Some people just don't like breakfast food. And we have those type of patients. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to give you supper at breakfast. We're going to give you supper at supper too, but your portion size are going to be different. You're going to eat something different. Have a sandwich. Have leftovers. But you have to have breakfast, because your day starts with breakfast. If you go to our next slide, your day starts with breakfast. And here are just a few breakfast ideas. Hard-boiled eggs, plain yogurts, carnation instant breakfast, lean pockets. For those people who say I just don't like breakfast food, lean pockets. Weight Watchers breakfast, fruits and crackers. Because you have to remember that the life that you have, you only have one of them. And my motto is, I love life and I live it, because I only got one chance to do it. You only get one chance to do it. So remember, your life is what you make it, and it starts with breakfast. So we have to remember that the blessings of the Lord that make rich and addeth no sorrow, like the Bible says, is not processed. Everything that God made is natural. So instead of the sugar that we put in our coffee, try honey in the morning. Instead of giving our kids sugar pops, try giving them granola. Try giving them cheese. Try giving them these things at an earlier age, so that when they're old like me and they don't eat, they'll remember those things that they were raised on. Because a lot of the things that we eat as adults for breakfast is because that's what our mama fed us. That's what our daddy fed us. I didn't have a mom, but my daddy. We had grits every day. Even when I became an adult, for me to eat regular cereal like Sugar Pops, I had most of my cereals. We had bread with every meal, every At lunch, you had sandwiches, so you had bread. Breakfast, you had toast, or you had French toast, or you had French toast and toast. But we have to remember that breakfast is going to start our day. It's what we've trained ourselves to do. Is most of us, how many of us eat breakfast every day, pretty much? Oh, I'm so proud of y'all. Love you. I wasn't, but I do now because I understand, because we have to remember that the Bible says when we learn better, we'll do better. So we have to learn that breakfast is the first meal of the day. Breakfast is what's going to start your metabolism going. Breakfast is what's going to start your cells to actually begin to generate, so that when you get the appropriate amount of insulin, it's not going to say, okay, let's hold on to all of that. Let's hold on to all that. It's going to say, okay, let's get this. Okay, let's let it go. It's time for the next meal. But we have to have breakfast. Okay? Thank you.
Denise. Test subject.
Oh, my test subject. I'm sorry, I forgot y'all. I didn't have a diabetic that I could use this morning, but I had 2 people that I could use. But I did have a diabetic that I used on Thursday for this same test. The ladies that we used with Mother Georgia, would you stand for us? Mother Georgia, her blood sugar when she came, she had grits this morning before she came. Her blood sugar was 127. And after just 2 cups of orange juice, her blood sugar went up to 147. So imagine if you're diabetic. So when you wake up in the morning and you say, well, I'm not going to eat anything bad for me, I'm just going to have just some orange juice. So now you're in that unnormal range that Elder Tillman was teaching us about. Thank you, Sister Georgia. Sister Ivory was our other test subject. Sister Ivory's blood sugar this morning was 73, and she ate oatmeal. At 73 was her blood sugar for this morning. After eating a Danish and drinking a cup of orange juice, her blood sugar also went up 20 decibels. So you have to remember, when you take these things that are real quick breakfasts, you think, like just orange juice or a donut and coffee, you take yourself into that undesirable range of blood sugar in the morning. So if you start off bad, you're going to end up bad for the rest of the day, because now your body's in that fluctuation. Now your body's trying to do something it never needed to have in the first place. It's like, if I'm going to start running, I'm going to drink a whole gallon of water. You're not going to get very far. So why would you put a gallon of sugar in your system first thing in the morning? You won't get very far.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm Leola Tillman. I am a lifestyle consultant for GNLD International. It is a nutritional supplementation company. And this morning, as Sister Denise was talking, I was thinking about what she was saying about how we begin our day. And you know, if you look at the word break fast, it means that you're going to break the fast because your body has been in a mode of fasting all night. So when you get up, the first meal of the day sets your blood sugar level. So it's almost like you're starting a company. You're waking your body up. So the first thing you put in your body is going to be very important. So we're going to talk about that, as well as what we call the insulin trap and the glycemic roller coaster. Okay, nutrition and lifestyle choices affect 7 to 10 leading causes of death. We already heard Dr. Rivers talk about heart disease and some cancer, stroke. Diabetes is our focus, and cirrhosis. So we're just highlighting the lifestyle choices that cause these type of diseases. Next slide. Okay, and we're going to direct your attention to our food pyramid. You can go to mypyramid.gov so that you can look at the nutritional food pyramid that we're supposed to have. Every day when you eat, you're supposed to have a balance of carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and sterols, vitamins, minerals, and enzymes. And a lot of people don't know what foods contain those particular elements, but the food pyramid will help you to understand what you should have in your diet on a daily basis. So if you want to write down mypyramid.gov, it's going to give you a good directory for your food pyramid. Next slide. Okay, now we're going to talk about the spikes that the insulin causes, what happens when you eat. When we looked at the first part of the morning, Emerson had 6 o'clock. But generally, most people don't eat that early unless they have, you know, a schedule that demands that they eat that early. So we're just going to go with this one right here. And what happens is that zone, that control zone is affected by what time you eat. And I always tell people your body is merely a biological clock. And it's set when you're at birth. So it's a good example with the kids that we have here today. When they were babies, you know, babies ate every 4 hours, you know, sometimes 2 hours when they're smaller. Because, you know, if your body is scheduled out, and as you eat, you eliminate and you lose all of your, you know, sources that you put in, you lose them. So I like for you to remember every 4 hours as you get older, because your stomach is going to empty itself every 4 hours. So that's why if you eat at 8 o'clock, typically by 12 you're going to be hungry again, and you should plug in some little small meals in between those intervals of 8 and 12, because your body being a biological clock, if you eat the proper diet, and if you eat what you're supposed to eat at 8 a.m., you're going to stabilize your blood sugar levels until that 12 o'clock hour. But what happens is we go dumping things in our bodies that either is going to cause it to go too high or go down way too low, or we don't have enough in our system to stabilize those blood sugar levels. So what happens is whenever a high glycemic response event occurs, the blood sugar levels exceed the control zone. So that's what we're talking about there. And the control zone is monitored by the body's biochemical guard post. When blood glucose levels exceed the upper limits of this zone, the body responds again by secreting that insulin. And then frequently this causes the glycemic roller coaster as the blood sugar levels drop and go up and down and up and down. You notice sometimes you get up early in the morning and you feel really sick. If you don't get something to eat right quick, you feel really sluggish. Well, that's your blood sugar level being too low. If you eat the right thing, it'll bring it right to the control zone where it needs to be. You eat the wrong thing and too much sugar is in the body, it's too high. So therefore, you have that up and down and up and down and up and down. So Sister Denise had a great example of some of the things you can't eat that will keep you in that control zone. You have carbohydrates from two sources, simple and complex carbohydrates. If you eat the simple carbohydrates, those are the ones that give you quick energy, and it's going to stabilize your sugar levels. If you do the complex carbohydrates from your real good starches, then it's going to sustain you for a longer period of time. So that's very important. Next slide, please. And here we have the insulin trap. As the insulin secretions cause glucose to be cleared from the body, as Emerson talked about earlier, the body must have a place to store it. It can't just leave glucose lying around somewhere. It must do something with it. It's left with no choice but to convert it to fat and store it. And glucose is stored in fat, muscle and tissue. So what happens is, if you think about it, I always think about when you eat your carbohydrate, it's going to make a glucose, okay? If it's the right kind of glucose, it's going to produce energy, okay? If it's not, then your body has to produce insulin from the pancreas to shoot it out of the body and get it out really fast. One thing that I love about the body, the way God created it, it has so much respect for the other organs. It is not going to burn fat and store it at the same time. It's going to do one or the other. So whenever you think about what you eat, you have to think about the mechanism and then respect your body. Are you helping that body to do what it's naturally supposed to do, you know, or are you controlling that body and causing it to have to go into a storage mode? And that's going to bring us to a point where we're going to bring Darryl up when he's going to talk about the fat, because your body is going to go into a starvation mode, as Sister Denise was talking about earlier. And it's going to try to use everything that it already has stored because it doesn't know when you're going to feed it. Or if you do feed it, if it's going to be the right thing. So if the body is always struggling, trying to do what it was created to do, which is sustain life, and sustain life as the way that it was intended. So eating very properly is very, very important. We have to be meticulous about it. And I just have to park right here to talk about the fact that temple maintenance is you knowing what to do with your body, when to do it, so that you can continue to promote and sustain life the way that it was intended. So I think I have one more slide. Okay, causes of poor health is no single factor. Many ideas, more fast food, foods plentiful everywhere, more fat intake, larger portions and less activity, less fruits and vegetables in the diet. One more slide, okay. We have So many things that we need to do. If you have diabetes, you need to eat regular meals. Again, that's talking about your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but you need to plug in small meals in the middle of your day. And I always think about when they offered up in the temple, they had the morning sacrifice, the noonday sacrifice, and they had the evening sacrifice. So whenever you do that, you're doing your temple maintenance there, but it's careful how you have to offer up, you know, your foods in your temple every day. So you have to eat regular meals, many fruits and vegetables, more so than your protein, which is your meats and whatnot. We know you need them, but they should be your smaller portions, and you should have more fruits and vegetables. And then you need to exercise. You need to make sure that you move around, that you're not stagnant in your movement. Aerobic activity lowers the glucose levels. We heard Dr. Rivers talk about that. I think it was him that talked about that a little earlier, and Emerson talked about it as well. Strength training improves your body's response to insulin as well. So I know we got some people in the room that are aerobics exercise trainers that are in the room, and they're going to be talking to us about that as well. And at this time, we're going to just introduce Darryl Smith, who is a personal trainer, and he's going to share with you a little bit more that we was talking about, that starvation mode and how the fat, how it plays its part in our diabetes workshop.
Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Whenever you have an opportunity to share this information, I kind of get excited about it, because health has always been a part of what I do from such a young age. And Dr. Rivers earlier, when he started out the program, he talked about culture, okay, and how we as African Americans get to where we are today. And I want to set up an example for you to get into what we're going to be talking about here, what I'm going to be speaking on. I have another friend of mine with the same age, 40 years old, and after high school, I got a scholarship to go play football for A&M. He didn't go to school. He started out working, more or less a laboring type jobs. I'm every day, routine, sun up to sundown. I know what I'm going to be doing, either practicing, lifting weights, same class, what have you. Graduated from college, went to graduate school, around people I'm coaching, around people who are athletic, who's doing things physically, nutritionally, take care of their body spiritually. And I come back home after graduate school, we both weigh the same amount. But the difference is, he has diabetes, okay? And I've been pretty healthy pretty much all my life, okay? So when we talk about that cultural thing, I wonder what it would happen to me if I would have stayed here eating the same type of foods my parents still cook today. The same, less activity, in which everybody around me is liking, okay? And having a lifestyle that all of my friends who have all these ailments in which we're talking about. So we talk about the cultural things. We talk about what do we need to do? What sacrifices are we willing to make to break that chain? It's a chain, okay? Because everybody can relate to somebody, if not yourself, you can relate to somebody around you, friends or families, who has diabetes, who has strokes, who has heart attacks, and not even here no more because of that, okay? And so to see you guys here, it means a lot to me, because it's not too late as long as you're breathing. It's not too late to make a difference in what you do, okay? And so when I hear this information, I kind of get charged up from it. There's a couple things I want you to do, okay? This is the first step. The first step is being proactive, that we don't have to come to you to try to persuade you to come and get this information. You came here to get information so you can make a difference. The first thing I want you to do, get a physical. Get a physical. Find out what's going on with your body. Where you at? You know, whether you're healthy, not healthy, predisposed, what the case is. Get checked up. Get a checkup. It's very, very important. Okay? Those are things, and our community, we're scared to do because we don't want to know that there's something wrong with us. Okay? And then when we do find out, it's too late to change whatever it's leading up to. So get a physical. Okay?